What if I told you there is a part of your body that most people have never heard of, yet it quietly influences almost everything about how you feel, think, and connect with the world around you? That would be worth knowing about, right? Today we are going to get a little nerdy, but I promise you, this is the fascinating kind of nerdy. We are talking about the vagus nerve. Now, before your eyes glaze over, stick with me, because understanding this one thing could genuinely change how you relate to your own mind and body. And here's the first surprising thing. The vagus nerve is not really just a single nerve. It functions more like an entire system, a vast and intricate network so substantial that scientists sometimes compare it in scale and complexity to the spinal cord itself. So let us start at the beginning and follow this remarkable system on its extraordinary journey through the body. So let's talk about where this nerve actually goes, because the journey itself is remarkable. The vagus nerve begins in the brain stem, that ancient part of your brain sitting right at the base of your skull. From there, it travels down through your neck, passing alongside your jugular vein and carotid artery. It then moves into your chest, where it wraps around your heart and lungs, influencing your heart rate and breathing with every single moment. Continuing downward, it passes through your diaphragm and spreads into your digestive system, reaching all the way down to your colon. Along the way, it touches nearly every major organ in your body. And here is what makes this so extraordinary. Roughly 80% of the signals traveling along the vagus nerve are moving upward, from your organs to your brain, not the other way around. This makes the vagus nerve the true epicenter of the mind-body connection, and understanding it changes everything about how we approach our mental and physical health. Now, the vagus nerve actually has 3 distinct branches, and understanding each one is where things get really interesting. The first is the ventral vagal branch. This one runs from the brainstem down to the heart, and it plays a fascinating role in how we handle stress and anxiety. Think of it as your vagal brake. When life starts to feel overwhelming, this branch steps in to slow things down, helping to regulate your internal state before it spirals out of control. What makes this branch particularly remarkable is its structure. It is myelinated, meaning it is wrapped in a protective sheath that allows signals to travel with incredible speed and precision. This is not a blunt instrument. It is a finely tuned system capable of making accurate moment-to-moment adjustments to your responses. So when you feel yourself beginning to calm down after a stressful moment, that is largely the ventral vagal branch doing its quiet, precise work behind the scenes. Now, branching upward from the heart toward the face is what we call the social engagement branch. This is the evolutionarily newer part of the system, and it is genuinely remarkable in what it connects. It links directly to the muscles you use for speech, to the tiny muscles inside your middle ear that help you tune into human voices, and to the muscles responsible for facial expression. Think about that for a moment. Your nervous system has a dedicated branch wired specifically for connection with other people, and this makes complete evolutionary sense. Humans who collaborated, who communicated, who formed bonds and tribes were the ones who survived. Connection was not a luxury. It was a survival strategy. Which brings us to one of the most powerful insights in all of nervous system science. The people around you are not just emotionally significant, they are neurologically significant. The faces, voices, and presence of other human beings are among the most potent regulators of your entire nervous system. Now, alongside the ventral vagal branch, there is another pathway worth understanding, and this one operates very differently. This is the dorsal vagal branch. It also originates in the brain stem, but instead of stopping at the heart, it travels further down, passing beneath the diaphragm and branching out to connect with virtually all of your organs below. Like the ventral vagal branch, it also slows you down under stress. But here's the critical difference. It does so with far less precision. Think of it this way. If the ventral vagal branch is a skilled driver gently easing off the accelerator, the dorsal vagal branch is someone yanking the handbrake while the car is still moving at full speed. The result is not a smooth, controlled stop. It is a sudden jolt, a skid, a shutdown. This is why, under extreme or prolonged stress, people freeze, disconnect, struggle to take action, or feel completely unable to move forward. The body is not broken. It is simply breaking too hard. Now that we understand the three branches of the vagus nerve, let us bring in a really useful framework developed by psychiatrist Dr. Daniel Siegel called the window of tolerance. Think of this window as your optimal zone of functioning. When you are inside it, the ventral vagal brake is working beautifully. You feel calm, present, connected to others, and able to adapt to whatever life throws at you. Your thinking is clear, your emotions feel manageable, and you have access to your full self. Now, life is not always smooth, and stress will naturally loosen that ventral vagal brake. When that happens, energy begins to mobilize in your body, preparing you to respond. And here's the important part. That is not always a bad thing. When the stress is manageable, that mobilized energy can actually be useful. It sharpens your focus, motivates action, and helps you rise to a challenge. The key word there is manageable. Because what happens when it becomes unmanageable is where things get really interesting. But what happens when stress becomes truly unmanageable? When the demands placed on us exceed what our nervous system can handle, we get pushed outside that window entirely, and this is where things get really interesting. Moving above the window triggers sympathetic nervous system activation. You might recognize this as anxiety, hypervigilance, racing thoughts, restlessness, or that feeling of being completely overwhelmed and unable to switch off. Dropping below the window is a different experience altogether. This is where the dorsal vagal branch takes over, pulling us into hypoarousal, disconnection, numbness, mental fog, and that heavy, shut-down feeling where even basic tasks feel impossible. Here is the crucial part. These shifts are not choices. You are not being dramatic, weak, or difficult. Your survival brain is making split-second decisions entirely beneath your conscious awareness, prioritizing your protection over everything else. Understanding this removes the shame and opens the door to something far more useful, which is exactly where we are heading next. And here's where it gets really important. Those shifts we just described, moving above or below your window of tolerance, are not happening in your thinking brain. They are happening in your survival brain, which is a much older, more primitive part of your nervous system. And here is the crucial thing about your survival brain. It does not speak in words. It does not communicate through logic or reasoning. It communicates through body sensations and emotions. That tight chest, the hollow feeling in your stomach, the sudden urge to disappear from a room. These are not random. These are your survival brain sending you messages. This is the core reason why we simply cannot think or talk our way out of trauma. You can understand something completely intellectually and still feel it in your body as though it is happening right now. So if healing cannot happen purely through the mind, where does it happen? It happens through the body. And that changes everything about how we approach recovery. Now here's something the wellness industry does not always tell you. Calm is not actually the ultimate goal. Think about the moments when you have felt most alive, most creative, most fully yourself. Chances are you were not lying in a quiet room. You were energized, engaged, absorbed in something that lit you up. This is what researchers call the play zone. It is a dynamic blend of sympathetic mobilizing energy and ventral vagal calm happening simultaneously. Think of it like a flow state, that sweet spot where challenge and skill meet perfectly. And here's why this matters. Research shows that adults who do not play regularly become less curious over time, less imaginative, and they experience significantly less spontaneous joy in their daily lives. Play is not a luxury or something you earn after finishing your responsibilities. It is a genuine biological need wired directly into your nervous system, and it turns out it is one of the most powerful tools for healing we have ever discovered. So, what does play actually look like in practice? It might be dancing around your kitchen, throwing a frisbee in the park, joining a choir, taking an improvisation theater class, or simply playing a board game with friends. These activities might seem trivial, but physiologically they are doing something remarkable. Play is most powerful when it involves other people. This is because social play directly engages that social engagement branch of the vagus nerve we explored earlier, the one connected to your face, voice, and middle ear. When you laugh with someone, sing together, or even make eye contact during a game, that branch lights up. And here's what makes play genuinely unique. It allows your nervous system to become activated, energized, and mobilized without triggering the fight or flight response and without flooding your body with stress hormones like cortisol or adrenaline. You get the energy without the alarm. That distinction is everything. Now here's where this becomes truly profound. Chronic or traumatic stress does not just push us outside the window of tolerance temporarily. Over time, it actually shrinks the window itself. The nervous system becomes hypersensitive, reacting faster and more intensely to smaller and smaller triggers. But play, particularly social play, can gently widen that window again. Each time we enter the play zone, we are essentially giving the vagal brake a workout. We are practicing moving into activation without tipping into fight or flight. We are rehearsing coming back down without collapsing into shutdown. Think of it like physiotherapy for your nervous system. Play fine-tunes the vagal brake in both directions. It helps us slow down when we are overwhelmed, and it helps us mobilize energy when we are feeling flat, apathetic, or stuck in procrastination. This is not a metaphor. Play is a genuine physiological antidote to trauma, working directly at the level of the nervous system where trauma actually lives. And here's the most hopeful part of everything we have covered today. Just as we retrain the body after a physical injury through physiotherapy and gradual movement, we can retrain the nervous system after trauma. The automatic responses you experience are not permanent character flaws. They are learned patterns, shaped by emotional experiences. And because they were learned, they can be unlearned. Change is genuinely possible, and play is one of the most accessible and underrated tools we have to make that change happen. So here's your invitation, and I want you to actually do this one. Grab a pen or open your notes app and write down 3 specific things that help you experience more fun, joy, connection, flow, or laughter. Not things you think you should enjoy, things that actually light you up. Then starting tomorrow, make one of them happen. Your nervous system is waiting for exactly that signal. Thank you so much for watching.